Foot Clan, the draft is approaching, training camp is approaching, and that means your fantasy football drafts are approaching faster than you can possibly believe. Make sure you are prepared by heading to ultimatedraftkit.com. That's where you're going to get over 100 video profiles. All of our rankings are tier breakdowns. Cannot stress enough the importance of the tier breakdowns because that is how we draft. Full projections for any fantasy player of relevance. And on top of that, it stays updated the entire off season. So make sure you get into the cheapest price possible this off season at ultimatedraftkit.com.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. Thursday, April 12th. Just another day in the neighborhood.
Friendly day.
Friendly day. Jason, how are you?
Oh, man.
Hey, you're back.
Could I be
You're
could
back.
I be any better? Yes, I am back. How
How you feeling? Jay Grizz filled in admirably. He never takes a sick day, just
No.
for the record.
No, he's always trying to claw his way in here.
Yeah.
No, he did. He did a great. Hey, shout out, Jay. You did a great job.
But you're back.
I am
Welcome back.
ready to bring it.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little tired. I tried to relive my youth. I played some basketball last night. It doesn't work as well.
Are your ligaments
34.
intact?
They are. They are intact.
You know what? You won.
I won.
It doesn't matter what the score was.
That's right. We have the second half of our wide receiver rankings on today's episode. Mike and I went over 1 through 10.
Oh, we dominated.
Yeah, we spoke on your behalf many times, Jason.
Sweet.
Yeah,
I finally said something right.
Oh, don't say that. Accurate, but don't say that. So we are getting into 11 through 20 on today's episode. Have a great quick question. You can find us on the web, thefantasyfootballers.com. Tons of great articles. Shout out to our writing staff, producing some awesome off-season content. And we've even got some reception perception content.
Oh.
Some of the rookies, some Matt Harmon written articles, some charts. Very sexy charts.
Oh.
Just telling the truth.
Look, they are
telling the truth.
looking really good. If you've
a
been
chart
a fan
could be sexy,
if you've been a fan of Matt Harmon's reception perception and you just look at this from a fantasy perspective, I mean, the arrow's pointing up. You look at the change year after year on these charts,
Well,
and
to
it's
be
like
fair, look,
it's coming into that year 3 wide receiver
breakout year.
Year.
a handsome man deserves a handsome chart.
That's
There you
right.
have
And that's what happened for Mr. Harmon this year.
So you can check them out at the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Check out our community, jointhefoot.com. You can join leagues with fellow listeners of the show. If you're in one of those leagues, and you need
Make it a league.
That's the saying that we associate with
As we
jointhefoot.com.
always say.
That's on a bumper sticker on my car.
Yeah. Twitter, at the FF Ballers. If you want to follow each of us individually, Jason is at JasonFFL. Mike is at FF Hitman, and I'm at Andy Holloway, so you can do that on Twitter. We tweet different stuff than the main account, so it's all good follows. Here's the quick question of the day, gentlemen, before we get into the wide receivers, and I always love the second show because you talk about some bigger debates happening when Jason has some of these guys, I have some of these guys far different from one another. So which Redskins wide receiver are you most interested in for the 2018 season? So consider the ADP, so the average draft position of the player. Consider the value, but we're talking about Jamison Crowder, Josh Doctson, and newly acquired Paul Richardson. Which wideout are you most interested in? And looking at, I had not seen your guys' answer. We all have a different answer.
I was amazed when I went in. I was the third one to put a name in, and I was shocked that I was the only one saying the correct name, which is Paul Richardson. Look, I know he's the new guy in town, and last year I was talking about, hey, new guy coming into town, that's not always the best situation, right? Terrell Pryor came in. He's got to learn. He's got to get a new rapport. But the quarterback's new too. So everybody is a new, situation here trying to get a new rapport with the quarterback. Paul Richardson is the only fast outside option that is proven. He's got 4.4 speed. He was a high second-round draft pick. They just paid up to get him. And a new quarterback coming to town, I think he's just going to recognize, I genuinely believe, Paul Richardson, out of these three guys, is just simply the best wide receiver. And I usually want that outside guy, who can score more per reception versus a slot guy like Crowder.
which is what I went with. I went with the slot receiver, 104 targets last year. The player I think that Alex Smith will fall in love with in the slot with the high percentage passes.
An Alex Smith type receiver.
Yeah, 24 years old still. I think there's still a lot of upside to his game, and I think he's the kind of player that could, he could push 80 receptions in this offense.
And I went with Josh Doctson simply chasing ceiling, and you're going to get
touchdowns.
You're going to get draft value. Yeah, Josh Doctson has the touchdown upside in my opinion. 6 last year. He's not as fast, certainly, as Paul Richardson, but 6'2", runs a 4.5. I mean, he is an athletic freak who he was a first-round pick. This is that third year, and to be fair to Josh Doctson, his rookie year was completely lost to injury. We just started to see what he can do about halfway through of last year. And if I'm going to take anyone from Washington, Paul Richardson's ceiling to me is like, yeah, he's a nice wide receiver 3, but if Doctson does break out, then you're talking about a high-level wide receiver 2.
Upside is
so
probably
that's why
Doctson. I will grant you that.
Here's the higher-level question then. I'll add one to the mix. Do you actually want any of them?
Yes, I actually want Paul Richardson because while I think he is the best player here, there will be value in Washington.
Paul Richardson or Devontae Parker this year?
I will take Paul Richardson because of cost of draft. Right now, Paul Richardson is basically undrafted. He's 14th round. I mean, he's the last guy drafted of this 3-pack, and I think he can be the number 1 producing wide receiver. I don't think he will be a wide receiver 1 in fantasy football, but if I can at the end of my draft get an
think so either.
If I can at the end of the draft get a fantasy, an NFL team's leading receiver who's going to be productive on the year, which is what I genuinely view Paul Richardson, I just think the value is there.
Better than John Brown in Baltimore?
Yes.
Okay.
I still don't trust John Brown's
Did I read Eric Decker last week visited the Ravens, huh?
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, without further ado, let's get back into the wide receivers.
Wide receivers.
All right, recap from the Tuesday show. Top 10. Antonio Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Odell Beckham Jr., Julio Jones, A.J. Green, Michael Thomas. Green and Thomas were tied at 5. Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams, Adam Thielen. That was our top 10. Consensus wide receiver rankings here in April. All right, so we're moving on. We're going to discuss 11 through 20 today. And let's kick it off with Doug. Let's talk about Doug Baldwin.
No, sorry.
No.
I was with you. I was enjoying it. Yeah, keep it going.
Needed to commit. 2015, he was the 8th best fantasy wide receiver. 2016, he was the 10th.
He's committing too hard.
And then last year was you need to read that the book with the porridge.
Goldilocks.
The book with the porridge.
Great wisdom, Andy.
I'm 1 minute I'm staring at Doug Baldwin. Next minute I'm asked to recall a very difficult to remember story.
Yeah, Goldilocks. Who remembers that book?
13th last year, 75 receptions, 991 and 8. Not the year you hoped for from Doug Baldwin.
Nope.
He busted 19% of the time. He was the 10th most consistent wideout in fantasy, so a bump up from his finish total. But what do you guys think about Doug Baldwin this year? Because there's a part of me that thinks Russell Wilson and Doug Baldwin, they may just be the offense. I mean, this might be what you have. And if the defense isn't as good, and even more is put on the back of Russell Wilson, maybe Doug Baldwin can bounce back. for a top 10 year.
Jason, you're the resident Doug Baldwin truther of this panel. How are you feeling?
Yeah, over the last several years,
year.
I've really liked Doug Baldwin. I think I was on it before it was cool, and then it became too hot, and he sucked. The reality is, Doug Baldwin, while I've always liked him, we've talked about this for years, he's never been a consistent player. His consistency scores are not.
Didn't Andy just say he was 10?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
He was 10th in consistency scores by the fact that he didn't bust often, but his rating of giving you, he was 19% of the time he was really, really good. The majority of the time, not so great. And this last year, that was with Paul Richardson. And I think with Paul Richardson gone, maybe Tyler Lockett steps up, maybe Amara Darboh gets a little bit more, but I think the defense is worse. For Seattle as well. They've got a lot of changing things there. The only true constant is Russell Wilson and Doug Baldwin. So I actually like Baldwin this year from a standpoint of he's going to get touchdowns. I just always worry about whether or not he can – I don't think even if he finishes as a 1, I don't think he can be your 1, your wide receiver 1, because I feel like he is more boom bust over the years.
8
even
touchdowns.
If this past year he was a little bit more consistent.
8 touchdowns last year, only 7 the year before, but under 1,000 yards and lost 20 receptions off the year prior.
And here's what was interesting when I was going back and
team wasn't as good.
Checking out Doug Baldwin was the first half of the year, he averaged 9 targets a game. Delightful. I would love 9 targets a game and putting up 11 yards per reception. The second half of the year, it dropped to 5 targets a game, but he jumped up to 17 yards per reception. So I don't know what to make.
Well, do you remember what happened to the offense?
Yes.
It literally you were criticizing it every single Sunday, just watching all
just
Russell Wilson could do is drop back, run around for his life, and launch the ball to the end zone. Like that was their offense.
Somehow it worked against Jacksonville. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so I think that's part to blame. But coming up this season, you're going to get a little bit more of the same, but I like the fact that there's not another tried and true option there. And can their running game get worse?
Nope.
So that could open things up for them.
But he definitely finished behind this ranking. So I think that would be the surprise for listeners is he was 13 last year. We actually are projecting an improvement for Doug Baldwin.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill comes in at number 12. Jason, you've got him right there at 12. Mike, 13. I have him at 14. And last year, all right, he played 15 games, 75 receptions, 1,183 yards, 7 touchdowns, and throws in another 17 carries. Wide receiver 8. He's an example of one of the players that during shows this time last year or shows leading up into the season you really wondered about. You were coming off the punt return, kick return, monster play season. You heard all the hype about being more involved in the offense, and it came to fruition. Tyreek Hill was heavily used. He fought through injury several times throughout the year, and here he is at number 12, still a wide receiver 1 on an early rankings. Last year finished 8th. What do you guys think?
It's difficult to rank Tyreek Hill appropriately because last year he had 105 targets. The receiver with the most targets behind him was Albert Wilson with 62. And you know that Travis Kelce's going to be involved. I mean, Travis Kelce led the team in targets. They gave Sammy Watkins a 3-year deal worth $48 million. He's not coming in for 62 targets. So if Kelce is guaranteed to get his 100-plus, what happens to Hill? Does it drop to the high 80s? Or because I just don't see a world where Sammy Watkins comes in and gets Albert Wilson level of 62 targets.
And we've said that on the show, or at least I have. I want the better value between those players. Even though I think and have Hill, I have Hill at 14. Even though I think that Hill may outperform him fantasy-wise due to the big plays,
right?
I want the better value in the draft.
Yes.
I think Sammy is going to be the better value.
Certainly, Tyreek Hill has, I think, a larger risk rating right now for being ranked this high. Had Sammy Watkins not come and Alex Smith not left, I would have Tyreek Hill up, at number 5 or 6. He is an extreme talent, but there's so many changing parts here where you're going from a large target market share to all of a sudden, if he ends up next year with 20 fewer targets, that could completely massacre his
105 targets isn't.
Oh, there's plenty of room to grow.
I was gonna say that's not too high.
No, he did not have too many targets in general, but the point is his market share within the offense. And now what's going to happen when Mahomes comes? Because Mahomes has the big gun of an arm, and that's that downfield. Now Tyreek Hill can get downfield.
Alex Smith did last year. Alex Smith was the best downfield passer in the league
but
last
now
year.
with Sammy Watkins, who's the downfield player? Because
Tyreek Hill's the downfield player.
You think
Watkins can be too, but Tyreek Hill's not going to not streak down the field. It was gold for them.
They just got to go with my go-to on Madden. Everyone runs the 9 route.
It's a Hail Mary play every play.
You stack 3 to the right, 1 to the left.
Yeah, that's my go-to.
But yeah, there's no way. I mean, you can't look at it in binary. It's not. There's one deep option now, and you're not going to run Tyreek Hill down the field. He's going to run down the field. That's what he does better than anybody. He averaged 78 receiving yards a game last year. I look at him the same way. I look at him in the exact same vein as T.Y. Hilton, which is traditionally T.Y. Hilton doesn't score double-digit touchdowns. He makes monstrous plays. Here's the question I have for you, Jay. Let's say I told you both players, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, same draft value, and will score the exact same amount of fantasy points. Which player do you want for fantasy football? Because then you're talking about consistency. Then you're talking about week to week, up and down. Which player do you want? Because Tyreek Hill can win you a week. Maybe Sammy's in that same category.
I would rather have Sammy Watkins in that world because I think Sammy Watkins is much more the prototypical wide receiver 1. Tyreek Hill gets it done with extreme speed, but Sammy Watkins has kind of that combination, 6'1", 211 with the 4.43 speed. Sammy is, in that great 2014 draft class that's unfathomable, Sammy Watkins went ahead of Odell Beckham and Mike Evans.
Long time ago.
No. I realize that. And he's dealt with the injury. But my point is if I knew that they were both going to be, the same amount of targets, the same amount at the end of the day, I would rather have Watkins. But we are, and myself included, projecting Tyreek Hill ahead of Watkins because we've seen it. Because it's been in this offense. Tyreek Hill knows it. Andy Reid we know that Andy Reid knows how to use Tyreek Hill to extreme success. So I'm going to project Tyreek Hill. I've got him at 11.
I have a sidebar conversation. Are we underestimating the red zone impact that Sammy Watkins will have against Travis Kelce? Because Travis Kelce last year had 20 red zone targets. He had 5 red zone touchdowns. And Tyreek Hill, for those who don't remember, did absolutely nothing inside the 20. All of his touchdowns came from beyond that. They didn't even go to Tyreek Hill inside the 20. And without now they have another go-to guy. Sammy Watkins is a big dude.
And then you add in, same with Kelce, you add in that change with Alex Smith, and you go,
I think the point here that's been reiterated is there's a lot of unknown in the offense now because you have Sammy Watkins and Pat Mahomes. And what does that represent? Does that represent more of a passing share? Does Reid go pass heavy, pass crazy? Does the defense getting weaker mean that they have to rely on the passing game and it makes the target count that Tyreek Hill had acceptable? Those are possible outcomes. But I still want the best value. And I hear a lot of love for Sammy Watkins here, and I think it's fair. And I don't know if you're going to get that in the community because I think you're going to have people more afraid to endorse Sammy Watkins because we haven't seen it yet. But that's where you make your mark in fantasy.
It's pretty hard to endorse.
All right,
Sammy.
Before we move on, I want to thank RX Bar for sponsoring today's podcast. RX Bar is a whole food protein bar made with a few
Get your protein on.
Simple, clean ingredients which all serve a purpose, okay? Egg whites for protein, dates to bind, nuts for texture. I've been eating these in the office.
You have.
I've been hitting the gym. I've been looking for a good protein bar.
I've been doing one of those two things as well.
And look, all the core ingredients are labeled right on the front of the package. It's actually they're very, very good. I love them. They're perfect for breakfast on the go, a snack at the office. throw it in your bag for whatever. You're going to go play that basketball, throw it in your bag, hiking, traveling, whatever. Better yet, beyond being a go-to snack that checks off all those boxes, like I said, they're actually good. And if you've tried protein bars and you've tried those type of things,
It's tough.
it's really hard to
tough in
find
the
something.
streets.
And I don't want something that's filled with like 1,000 different ingredients. So I love them. Check them out. 25% off your first order. Visit rxbar.com/footballers. Enter the promo code footballers at checkout. That's rxbar.com/footballers. Promo code footballers. You get 25% off.
Yeah, and we also want to thank Quip toothbrushes. You know, when it comes to health and the holistic approach that we take for fantasy football, the holistic approach for your health, brushing your teeth, is one of the most important parts. That's why Quip, they've combined the dentistry and the design to make a new electric toothbrush that packs just the right amount of vibrations. Not too much, not too little. You got guiding,
Goldilocks.
There you go. We're
the
back to
porridge.
Goldilocks. You have guiding pulses. Make sure that you're brushing just the right amount of time. And, you know, they even come with this really nice mount. It sticks right to – I don't know how it works. I think magic.
Yeah.
But it sticks right to the mirror, and so it keeps it up off the counter. Really nice, out of the way. You know, they've got a subscription plan that refreshes the brush every 3 months for $5, including free shipping. It's backed by over 10,000, different professionals. So go get Quip. Quip starts at just $25, and if you go to getquip.com/footballers right now, you'll get your first refill pack free with a Quip electric toothbrush. That's your first refill pack free at getquip.com/footballers, spelled GETQUIP.
All right, this next guy's name is spelled Tyhilton.
Isn't there periods in there?
T-dot.
T-dot.
Y-dot.
Hilton.
Yeah.
What is happening? T.Y. Hilton. Jason, you have him at 11. Mike, 14. I got him at 15 as of today.
We're having the faith.
In 2016, so the last time he had a healthy Andrew Luck, he was the 5th best fantasy wide receiver. That is what you have to think about when it comes to T.Y. Hilton. He can be that good. He can be a top 5 guy because you end up with a top 5 quarterback at the time in fantasy football. So last year, not so good. 57 for 966 and 4, and I feel like all 57 came in one game.
Oh, I can tell you. I was going to say,
break it down.
His end of season stats actually look okay. However, if you had him for fantasy, you know this, that 62% of his yards came in 4 games. 4 games.
I would say that makes sense with what he had behind center and what happened last year.
Just saying.
And they're not he didn't have help either.
I'm just saying, to have Hilton in your fantasy lineup for 16 weeks.
Oh, it's terrible.
A guy who finishes with 966 yards, you're thinking.
Yeah, you flipped a 4-sided
good.
coin and you needed it to come up heads.
Yeah. The truth is, from last year, I do not believe that it was T.Y.
What
Hilton's.
are the 3 other sides? No, we're stopping here.
Okay.
What are the 3?
We're not stopping.
So we got heads, we got tails. Wait, didn't he say 6-sided?
No,
So
4-sided.
he went 4.
4-sided.
Heads, tails, fails, and quails.
There you go.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, it came up fails last year.
It's the 4-sided coin, by the way. That normally has the Mount Rushmore heads. All 4 is on there. Yeah.
Ooh, I got Lincoln.
Surprised you didn't know it.
I don't blame T.Y. Hilton. If you look at
you have to throw it out.
Yeah, you do throw it out. Jack Doyle, when you watch the games, you basically had Brissett coming in and saying, today, who am I going to be able to look at first? And it was either
Fair.
Jack Doyle normally, or every now and then if, the bad defense and he felt like he could look a little further down the field, it was T.Y. Hilton. That's how I felt about watching those games.
I still saw separation on tape all the time from T.Y. Hilton. Big play capability. He was 4th best in the NFL when it came to yards per reception with 16.9. He did what T.Y. Hilton does. The frequency of targets, the ability to get him the ball,
The accuracy of the targets.
accuracy of the targets, all of those things factored in. So the real question is I'm kind of hedging with him at 15 right here.
Because you'll move him up if Andrew Luck is
And I'll move him
fully
down
healthy.
if he's not.
Of
So
course,
it's kind of exactly. So, and Jason, you took, I'm assuming an approach where you've got him inside that top 12 because That's probably where he belongs if Andrew Luck is healthy.
Yeah, I think I lean towards Andrew Luck being healthy, so I feel like I'm hedging as well. He should be kind of a top 8 wide receiver if Andrew Luck is truly back and healthy. He is going to be a value in this year's draft if Luck is healthy. Because even if Luck's healthy,
yeah, when are the questions answered about Luck?
If he's playing in preseason, which he absolutely should be, like if he's not playing in preseason, the questions have been answered. So I think by draft day, the questions will be answered. And assuming he's playing in preseason, he'll get a tiny bump. But I don't believe that T.Y. Hilton will get the bump up to where he will finish this year. So I think T.Y. Hilton's going to be a really good value. Or if Luck's not playing in the preseason, there's no way I'm drafting him.
Disaster.
He's off of my draft board, 100%. I won't. If Luck's not playing in the preseason, I will not draft T.Y. Hilton.
Bold. All right. Mike, do you have anything to add to Hilton? I think
Nope.
we've covered it. Here's a polarizing character that I've forced up our consensus boards.
Yes, you have.
Amari Cooper coming in at number 14. We've been here before, Amari.
Yes,
This is your time of the season. The hype train is on the tracks. I've got him at 10. Jason 17, Mike 15.
I feel much better about my ranking than your guys.
Last year, 48 receptions for 680 yards, 7 touchdowns on 96 targets. The wide receiver 33, which is very far from 10, which is where I have him. Look, I'm going to choose to believe because that's what you have to do.
You're buying that Gruden hype.
Well, I'm buying the export, the Crabtree leaving town, shipped off. This is Amari Cooper's team.
But can he handle that?
I think he can. And look, it doesn't matter how good or bad of a season you had. You cannot have a game like the game he had last year against Kansas City unless you're a very, very talented player because they were force-feeding him the ball in that game, and he made plays. And, yes, some of them he had to juggle first before he caught them. I get it. But Derek Carr came out, said he was playing injured, still very, very young. This is a player who 1 year removed from just being outside the top 12. He finished 13th in 2016. And I still believe in Amari Cooper. So that's all it comes down to. Do you still believe in Amari Cooper, and to what level? It wasn't good last year. There's no sugar on last year's performance.
The interesting thing for Amari Cooper, you're talking about the export being a bump up. Will that actually be a bump up? Because Michael Crabtree was great for the Oakland Raiders for the past few years, meaning you can just throw everything at trying to knock Amari Cooper out of the game plan. Amari Cooper, part of his problem is contested catches, which, in my opinion, a number one wide receiver has to be able to do. And these are numbers pulled directly from Reception Perception, which, if you want these kinds of numbers, this is the stuff that's available in the Ultimate Draft Kit. The average percentage for a wide receiver completing a contested catch in the NFL for Matt Harmon's charting is 64%. Cooper's rookie year, 61.5%, under average. His next year, which was his bigger year, 57.5 or 57.1, under.
A little worse.
Last year, the lowest that Reception Perception has ever seen at 16.7% of his contested targets were not caught. Now, does that just simply fit into that narrative that Derek Carr kind of tried to explain the way of the season for Amari Cooper, saying that he was playing extremely hurt? I don't know if we're ever going to get to the point where Amari Cooper can carry the team's wide receiver load. You have Jordy Nelson, who, unless Aaron Rodgers has been playing with him, looked bad. Looked real bad last year.
And this is his
So
shot.
I have great concerns for Amari Cooper. I'm at, I think Andy said 15, simply based on volume, but I don't think it's going to be a very fun ride.
Yeah, I've never in my entire football analysis life been so Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Thank
with
goodness
the player.
you said that, because I thought you were going to give me one
No,
of the two, and then I'd be like, either way, you'd have been lying.
I am the bipolar bear on Amari Cooper. I can't. It just depends on which side of the bed I wake up on, because there are so many things, so many arrows that point to the perfect direction. If he was hurt last year, and you see, look, the difference between what'd you say, 16% catch rate And his average of
Yeah.
near 60 is huge. If he was injured last year, Michael Crabtree was the one, and he's healthy this year, and he's coming in. He's, 24? He's so young.
16
He's
years old.
16 years old in a man's body.
Yeah.
And but the reality is he was straight bad last year. He just wasn't a
23 years old.
He'll be 24 in June.
Yeah, so, I lean right now, I lean volume-based is usually where I try to track my stats, and he will have volume. That means that he should be a fine wide receiver next year.
83 for over 1,100 yards and 5 touchdowns in 2016. He has done it. This is not Devontae Parker, who we're saying, wow, he's got a great opportunity. Let's see if he can finally do it. At least Amari's gone out and given you a season, 1,100-plus yards, 80-plus receptions.
It was a very Hilton-esque season.
No, 83 receptions is a high total.
Sure, but he had 50% of his yards in 4 games.
I'm going to make
because he can't. He has not been able to string together. If you put those 4 games over a season, he would have been the greatest receiver of all time.
Agreed.
I'm making a chart here for myself to know if the last words I spoke on Amari Cooper were kind or not kind.
Oh, it's like he loves me not.
Exactly. I'm making this, and whatever the next thing I ever say about Amari Cooper
Make sure
will go to the side. side.
Okay. That's important.
Because I really like him.
This is like the NCAA jump ball rule.
And he's terrible.
Like it goes,
what is it, side out?
Yeah, side out to one team or the other. You'll look down and you'll go, okay, I'm down on him. All right, number 15, Larry Fitzgerald.
Then there's only one reason why he's at 15.
And his name is Jason. Look.
Nope.
Yes.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yes.
His name is Sam Bradford.
His name is Jason.
Mike has him at 11. I have him at 12. And I think I have him too low, and I'm not joking. He's going to be a 100-plus reception guy this year.
Yeah. So
Sam Bradford is not going to hurt that.
I don't even care if it's Mike Glennon.
No, I don't either.
Okay, let's go back and look at the Bears. Mike Glennon, what did he do? He was terrified. He panicked, and then he dumped the ball off with a short pass.
Yeah.
A.K.A. either David Johnson or Larry Fitzgerald.
That's what Skelton did last year, too.
If you have Amari Cooper at 17 simply based on volume, whose volume is more guaranteed in the NFL when you're talking these level of wide receivers than Larry Fitzgerald?
162 targets last year, the 5th-ranked wide receiver, perennially disrespected. I think Mike and I are just gonna alternate speaking.
Okay. Look, I love Larry Fitzgerald. I think he will.
Liar.
No, I really do. If you told me Sam Bradford is playing 16 games, then Larry Fitzgerald's locked and loaded as a top 10 wide receiver. He'll have the volume, and he's as clutch as it gets. But he's a slot receiver now, right? Which is fine.
He's been a slot receiver for many years.
Sure,
now.
but my point is,
look, 8 of them.
Okay, tell me this. In 2012, 2013, 2014, when he didn't have a good quarterback, was he younger or was he bad then? Was he a terrible wide receiver? Because he wasn't finishing well for fantasy football those years. And here's his target counts: 154, 156, and 135. Those are great target counts. So why wasn't he a top 10 wide receiver then? Because he had a bad quarterback. Now he's moved to the slot where touchdowns aren't as prevalent. So my point is this: if Sam Bradford does not play, if Sam Bradford is out, I'm not banking on Mike Glenn and Larry Fitzgerald. I'm not going to say that he's going to be a fantasy superstar just because he gets a lot of volume.
In games where Carson Palmer played versus another quarterback since 2014, receiving targets per game with and without Palmer. With Palmer, 8.9. Without, 9.2.
It's just very selective that you go since 2014.
Well, I was going since Palmer because that made sense, right? The starting quarterback. I wasn't being very selective. I was just going since Palmer. Do you want me to go 2013?
Well, my point was during his poor years where he didn't have a quarterback.
Like this year.
He was an outside receiver back then.
Like last year when he had Blaine Gabbert and Drew Stanton.
And had 109 receptions. I just don't know how it can get worse than what he had last year.
The big
he lost more outside receivers. No John Brown, no Jerron Brown.
Jason, your argument does on the surface it sounds it does sound convincing. The problem is back then he was the outside receiver, and now he is the slot guy where the ball is schemed to him and bad quarterbacks can still get him the ball. That's why I'm still perfectly fine with Fitz.
But how many touchdowns is he going to have with Mike Glennon?
6, 7. That's all he needs.
Okay. And
he
look,
only had 6 last year.
Booyah.
And he was the 5th best wide receiver.
Booyah.
I don't want to disparage Larry Fitzgerald.
You're doing it.
I'm not. I've got him as a wide receiver 2 right now.
Pathetic. At the bottom of the 2.
Well, and
a guy who's finished, here's his last 3 years, 9, 12, 5.
If you want
before that?
If you want to take a stroll down
52.
Yeah,
52, 17, 37.
The skeleton year.
So, it's a strange thing to argue that because he's older now. He should be worse now.
But he's better.
But he's not. If we want to
He's
stroll
found the fountain of youth.
If we want to, he kind of has. But if we want to stroll down the narrative street, Larry Fitzgerald needs 390 yards to pass Terrell Owens to be second all time. That's not very much. However, he needs 91 receptions to pass Tony Gonzalez for second of all time. Larry Fitzgerald has come back, and Larry Fitzgerald is a intelligent man. He knows that the Cardinals have little to no shot to even make the playoffs, let alone make the Super Bowl and make a run at a championship. They're going to break that record. So if Larry Fitzgerald plays 16 games, it's a lock for 90-plus receptions. It's happening.
I definitely think that would be his goal. I do agree with that. But this isn't a Bruce Arians. You're forgetting that part of it, too. This is a new offense.
True.
This isn't Bruce Arians led. He's not going to be the one, is a defensive-minded head coach coming in going to say, my priority is to get Larry Fitzgerald that record? Maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys should do a 90 reception bet.
Because
you and Jason.
This is all about. I'll make that 90 reception bet if you lose Sam Bradford.
Yeah. Okay. Either way,
all right.
The quarterback does not matter. I am on record saying. So you're saying that. So how do you want to phrase this bet?
Jason's not willing to. He's not willing to do the bet if Sam Bradford's healthy for 16.
So if Sam Bradford plays fewer than 16 games.
No, I will not take a 90
this is falling
reception
apart.
bet.
I knew he wouldn't.
I will take a I will take a top 15 wide receiver bet. No problem.
Fine, put it on the board.
Can I join you?
Yes, you can.
Water
bet. Yes, you can.
Easy money, or in this case, water.
Yes.
Alshon Jeffery comes in at 16.
I'm far less excited to talk about Alshon.
Alshon ended up the wide receiver 18 last year. He played 16 games. He was great in the playoffs, and the team is great.
And allegedly played with a problem with his rotator cuff?
Mm-hmm.
The whole season?
Apparently, I didn't know this, caught 57 of 120 passes when he was targeted. That is the 4th worst reception percentage in the league.
What? My goodness.
47.5%.
That is accurate.
That explains 57 receptions on 120 targets.
If only he had 2 fewer receptions.
He was the 12th most consistent receiver. Jason, you got him the highest. You got him at 15.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Larry Fitzgerald at 21. Explain.
Well,
a player who was
half the receptions.
35th in among the league in wide receivers receptions.
Look,
we know what this show's about now.
I am absolutely fine with where I have Larry Fitzgerald ranked right now. Alshon Jeffery
on the ground.
Alshon Jeffery is. I think he'll finish the year as a wide receiver 2. And when I look at him compared to a lot of the guys around him, the question marks. Say, a Josh Gordon. Is he going to be good on the Browns? Is he going to be the number 1 target? Allen Robinson. How is Mitchell Trubisky? It's just a matter of we've seen Alshon be successful, especially as a touchdown gobbler. I worry a little bit about the health.
The best, most accurate nickname. He is a touchdown gobbler. 9 touchdowns. 9 touchdowns. That saved his whole season.
Yeah.
The touchdown gobbler. The thing about Alshon that I don't like, and I have him the lowest at 19, is not anything to do with his talent or ability. It's the fact that this team is filled with different weapons. They're willing to win however the defense plays them. whether that means running the ball with 4 different running backs, filling the stat sheet for Zach Ertz. They have other weapons there. And so
they
Jeffrey
upgraded their wide receiver, too, from Torrey Smith to Mike Wallace.
If
That's a
Jeffrey
big deal.
doesn't score, he doesn't make you happy that week.
Yeah, I agree. And my actual biggest issue with Alshon, and he will drop like a rock in my rankings based on this, is the health of both him and Carson Wentz. So we'll know more as we get close to the season because he underwent surgery after the season.
He's a surgery gobbler, too, just for the record.
Yes, he is. So, if
delicious,
if coming into preseason, reports are bad.
Give me some of that surgery.
And they're not there, then he'll certainly drop to even below Larry Fitzgerald. For now,
even below Larry.
There is no below. There is no below.
My goodness. Where do I – so you guys know I've got Larry ranked at wide receiver 87, right?
Yes.
Is this what you guys believe?
Basically.
Where do I have him? Like 21?
21's the new 87 when it comes to Larry.
My
All right.
goodness.
Allen Robinson. That's in the 20s, Jason.
Math checks out.
His swan song. All right. Allen Robinson at number 17. This was one of the players when we posted the Tuesday episode. Had a lot of questions about where do we have Allen Robinson. Well, we got him at 17. And we all ranked him right around the same spot. And we're expecting Allen Robinson to be, I think, a target monster in Chicago. Whether the offense will be capable of producing, with Nagy and Trubisky and what they have there, I don't know. But I think Robinson's good for, 130 targets?
That's the hard part about Allen Robinson. This is all speculation and projecting from a season that happened.
That's our job.
But what I'm saying, what's last year's stats?
Nothing.
He caught a pass and tore his ACL. What about 2 years ago? Well,
100% catch rate is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's true. But two years ago, it really wasn't that great. 3 years ago, it was incredible.
Back when Mitchell Trubisky was in diapers.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying it's very hard to rank Allen Robinson because it's just what do you believe the player of Allen Robinson is?
Here's why I have him ranked the highest, and I'm fine with it because I'm not necessarily the hugest Mitchell Trubisky fan. I think he's all right, and hopefully he takes that step forward that he, very well could with Matt Nagy and the new offensive system. But there aren't a lot of other pieces here to steal targets. Trey Burton will come in. He'll play that tight end role. But it's the Allen Robinson show on offense. This was a team that was depleted of any and all things resembling wide receiver talent. And now Allen Robinson should have a huge target market share. And, even if Mitchell Trubisky isn't the best, if you've got a young, healthy Allen Robinson out playing the X role where he's getting downfield and he's up near that 150 targets, even if it was 2 years ago, Allen Robinson, that we say was down, the only reason that was down is because he was drafted to be a super megastar. You're going to be getting Allen Robinson in that 4th, 5th round possibly, where 2 years ago, Allen Robinson, the value's going to pay off.
You're going to have
what's
to
the
pay
upside?
up.
The nice thing about the Trubisky situation is that Allen Robinson, and Brooks pointed this out, he was a stud with Blake the Snake.
I got a snake, man.
Because
That's-
people overlook Blake the Snake.
Yeah, well, sure. What did we say on the show, was it last week, about Leonard Fournette facing almost the most stacked boxes in the entire league?
I just said a lot of
I
people overlooked Blake Bortles.
I want to talk
all
about
the other NFL teams.
I want to talk about number 18, Josh Gordon. I have him at 16. Here's what I like about what I saw from the brief return of Josh Gordon last year. When he had his monstrous, incredible 1,646-yard #1 season, his yards per catch was at 18.9. Last year, yes, he was limited, came back just 5 games. Yards per catch, 18.6. We were worried about what happened to him in that brief pre-injury time in 2014 when he was at 12.6 a catch and didn't look the same. I like the fact that we saw him making the bigger plays and doing what Josh Gordon does. That tells me that Hugh Jackson understands what he has in Josh Gordon. And yes, when you draft Josh Gordon, you are taking a gamble. Okay? You're taking a gamble on the team. You're taking a gamble on the player. But I think that you're also taking a chance at getting a top 6 top 7 type of talent. It's going to depend on what quarterback they put in position because his catch percentage is what was down last year compared to that breakout year.
And that's what's huge. Josh Gordon is a gamble. Of these guys, you're talking tremendous upside. The ceiling can't hold him. But last year, DeShone Kizer of quarterbacks in the NFL, he was amongst the top of guys who he wanted to go deep all the time, which that fed into Josh Gordon's play style. DeShone Kizer is gone. And now you have Jarvis Landry as an actual underneath weapon, which maybe you're going to buy the narrative that that's going to open things up for Josh Gordon downfield. But now with Jarvis and Duke Johnson, everything is about what quarterback, what are the tendencies of this quarterback coming in for Cleveland, because it's going to be Tyrod for a few games, which I like that for Josh Gordon. I like that Tyrod scrambles and then just chucks it deep. But eventually it's going to be the rookie. And which one comes and takes over, and how does he play football?
You know, the nice thing, though, is by setting up with Tyrod Taylor, if Tyrod Taylor establishes Josh Gordon as the lead dog here, the rookie that's going to come in is probably going to try to continue that, not completely change everything up. But my problem with Josh Gordon,
it's probably going to be Josh Allen. So that would fit in.
Josh Allen, Sam Darnold. I mean, we'll find out here.
Just say it for when we want all those 90-yard passes. Josh
we're
Allen's
right.
here.
We're right there. We're gonna find out soon. Cleveland had the second lowest time of possession in the league. When you talk about bringing in a person like Landry or having Taylor, you have to have an offense that moves to give these guys the potential and the ability to do this. So the team has to improve for Josh Gordon to return any type of value.
Yeah, the worry I have, Josh Gordon's great monster year, 159 targets. Will he be able to do that with Corey Coleman and with Jarvis Landry and with Duke Johnson and all the other weapons? Because when he did it, the next best receiver on that team was Greg Little.
How dare you?
Mm-hmm.
How dare you besmirch the name of Greg Little?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I don't think we want to do.
Best?
I don't think we want to do the next best receiver game on Houston last year. I mean, you can produce, but the team has to be able to move the ball. So he's a gamble. Speaking of gambles. The gamble of gambles.
Man, I just realized which bet we should have taken.
Oh, yeah, the Dez versus
Larry versus this guy.
Dez Bryant, number 19 on our consensus rankings. I would say that it's my fault.
I'm just going to sigh this whole entire
I have him
time.
at 24. Just sneaking into the top 24. Jason's got him at 14. Mike, you're at 18. Even you have come to your senses about Dez Bryant. Last year, it was as bad as it gets, really. 69 receptions, 32nd most consistent receiver in fantasy football. 0 great games, busted 44% of the time. And so when you buy Bryant in this draft, you are buying the comeback. You are buying the hope that he can return to something resembling the 2014 version, the 2013 version of himself. Not what we've seen the last 3 years with the injuries and the lack of consistency.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this Dez Bryant might not even be on the Cowboys after the draft. He might be irrelevant. He might be a second wide receiver piece. Hopefully he gets moved, into the slot and push his career a little further down the line like Larry Fitzgerald. There's a lot of question marks around Dez here. These are early rankings. Later in the year, if Larry is statting out better and Dez is looking bad, a lot of this comes down to what do you believe in Dak Prescott? Because Dak Prescott's had a year and a half of glory and half a year of absolute garbage. We can't discount the fact of how bad Dak was the second half of last year with, you go watch. I mean, I don't know if many people out there have seen the video of showing every single one
I was going to bring it up.
Dez Bryant's targets. But if you watch that video, you can be kind of convinced that this was not all on Dez. I mean, these were so many uncatchable balls. But then, is Dak going to get better? Is he going to improve? I tend to think that with Zeke and with a healthy offensive line, Dak is going to be all right. And so I'm kind of seeing that go forward. But Dez is a complete, up in the air until after the draft. Do they draft another high-profile rookie? Do they move him? Do they keep him? Those are all question marks. If he stays and the offense is back and Zeke is back, I think Dez is going to be a valuable wide receiver too. That's how I see him.
The thing about Dez is you have this is a Marky Mark George Clooney situation of just an absolute perfect storm, because the video Jason was talking about, you can check it out and see for yourself, but according to this person's tracking, Dez Bryant had 53 untouchable balls thrown at him, and 79 targets that he could either touch or catch, and he came down with 69 receptions. I don't agree with all of his analysis here, but Jason's right. There are a lot of targets that are credited towards Dez Bryant that are absolute garbage. On the other hand, Matt Harmon, one of the veterans that he has done for the reception perception is Dez Bryant. The results are staggeringly bad. Just horrific.
When you look at success by route, below average, running the corner, the 9, the post, the dig, the curl, the slant. When you think about those targets in the videos you said, there has to be a grain of salt there, because untouchable targets, not getting separation, not where you're supposed to be.
I agree.
There's something that falls on you, and if you're looking, for those that don't know what reception perception is, maybe a good chance to introduce it. You're looking at the player running the route independent of the quarterback and the target. You're looking at the player getting separation, having success running the route. The thing about Dez is these numbers are very much a departure of his previous years.
Yes, 2 years ago he was...
Whether he's
was
discouraged, frustrated, whatever the case may be, he may have the physical ability to come. Look, if I was having a down year, I'd like to be 6'4", and be able to come back with the body that he has. Yep. And you know, Dez could have a down year and still pull down 12 touchdowns. He's done it a couple times before. So you at least have all of the prototypical aspects of a top receiver, but I tend to believe that Dez is on the downward trend. And I think Dallas might believe it too.
Yeah, I think I might believe it too. I'm going to keep looking. I mean, I've got a note here. I very well might move Dez down even in these early ranks, because there are a lot of things he needs to overcome, whether it's his routes or whether it is Dak Prescott. You are forced to bank on a lot of chips falling the other direction, and it might be just a little bit too much against him.
And the other chip that we didn't even bring up was the play calling, the utilization of Dez Bryant's. I mean, his highest percentage of routes is really just essentially 3 routes or so. So you, as a defense, you know what Dez Bryant's going to do. Mm-hmm. You got to move around. You got to be creative. Will Dez acknowledge and take the veteran role of it's time to move inside? It's time to move to the slot, man.
I don't think the offensive minds there are creative enough to even do that.
Oh. What do you think about that, Judge Giamatti? Can I get a ruling on Dallas's play calling?
Garbage.
Yay!
All right. Okay.
The final player on our 11 through 20 list, I'm excited to talk about. I figured out the 2 wide receivers I want this year on my roster.
Wow.
So Stefon Diggs is number 20. I have him at 17, Jason 18, Mike 23. Stefon Diggs is Sammy Watkins in the sense that I want the better value of the combo, okay? If I was just checking out ADPs. If I wanted to go running back heavy in a draft, like really running back heavy, and go running back, or maybe I want to go running back, value on Gronk, running back, I want my 2 wideouts to be Stefon Diggs and Sammy Watkins. I can get them in the 4th and 5th round. And because both players have a similar situation, I don't think Diggs is any less talented than Thielen. I don't think Watkins is any less talented than Tyreek Hill. Both of them have new quarterbacks, right? Kirk Cousins coming in, Pat Mahomes coming in. The world doesn't know what those relationships between, what the rapport will be. And so I'm going to take the better value and the talent, knowing that the opportunity is going to be there. Diggs, Mike and I, we were looking at this yesterday. The Thielen Diggs in the red zone thing is crazy. Yes. Thielen is bad in the red zone. 4th worst, I think, on targets in terms of converting
catch percentage.
them. Yeah, catch percentage. Diggs is 85% in the red zone. He scored 8 times last year. He's only 6 foot. You would think that 6'3" Thielen would get it done, but Diggs got it done last year. And look, for him, he's got to stay healthy. He only played 14 games last year, never played a full season in the NFL, but I might be willing to take that chance if I can get a value.
Yeah, last year, what was nice was that Diggs, there was only 4 games when he had fewer than 50 yards or didn't have a touchdown. So you knew at least you were getting points. He wasn't destroying you. And the upside of when Stefon Diggs has himself a monster game, it's a it's 150 with a touchdown. It's a week winning type of performance that Diggs has. I like that the touchdowns went up from 3 to 8 because they moved him outside. So I feel very bizarre here being the lowest on Stefon Diggs when this was my dude last year. So I feel like I'm in one of those body switch movies.
Well, no one here is against Diggs, including you.
True.
Last year on a per game basis, which Diggs missed a couple games, on a per game, Adam Thielen and Stefon Diggs were number 12 and number 13 back to back. 12.1 fantasy points and 11.9, and that's including the fact that Thielen got 2 games that were sans Diggs. So that they were probably identical fantasy points. The reason why I still lean heavily on the Adam Thielen side, even though the value might be better on Diggs, is because of the how they come about. And that could change this year. It's a new quarterback. But assuming that they stay the same role in the system, the same read, you're talking about, 143 targets for Adam Thielen with close to 100 receptions. He's kind of the more possession guy last year in that system. So they're both very involved, but I think the consistency will be there for Thielen.
I'd rather have Thielen if I'm taking draft position out of the equation, and that's how we ranked him.
I just think as the season gets closer and closer and closer, you're going to see these guys back to back. You're going to see Thielen fall and Diggs rise, and they're going to be so close in the rankings, and that's
really
yeah, I really do.
Why do you think that's going to happen? Are people just going to look at last year's stats?
Look, when people get disrespected,
people like Diggs,
and when people get disrespected year after year in fantasy ADP, it usually doesn't stop. And that this would be year 3 for Thielen, and I think he'll continue to drop.
Year 3,
right?
No.
Well,
last year was his breakout.
Year 2.
Yeah, but you saw it at the end of
him.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. It was 3 years ago that he broke out.
Mm-hmm. All right, Adam.
Coming into this season,
11 Doug Baldwin, 12 Tyreek Hill, 13 T.Y. Hilton, 14 Amari Cooper, 15 Larry Fitzgerald, 16 Alshon Jeffery, 17 Allen Robinson, 18 Josh Gordon, 19 Dez Bryant, 20 Stefon Diggs, and then you can leave all of your comments with your angry player that we left out of the top 20.
There's one in particular.
They're going to be changing. That is the beauty of the offseason. We will be updating ranks consistently. And if you've got the Ultimate Draft Kit at ultimatedraftkit.com, you'll see those changes. You'll also see our rookie rankings right after the NFL draft. We'll drop in there so you're ready for your dynasty drafts.
You'll see Jason's Amari Cooper flower, which pedal is he pulled off recently.
Yeah, we're going to spare no expense building out a complex
I've got the chart
display.
started. I'm keeping it under my laptop. Whole off season leading up to draft day. And at the end, I'm going to see which side did I take more often, then I'm just going to go all in. I'm going to bury him or he's number 1.
The important thing is you recognize your problem.
Hey, check out draft.com/ballers. Play some best ball. The absolute best ball experience for you this offseason. I encourage you to check it out. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.